There are some questions that sound simple at first, but the more you think about them, the more interesting they become. You see it in everyday life, in families, in classrooms, even in public places. Two people who look almost exactly alike, moving through the world like they share the same blueprint. It makes you pause and wonder how something like that even happens in the first place. And it leads us back to one question. Why are there twins? And the answer isn't as straightforward as it seems, because what's really going on starts long before those two people even take their first breath. We'll talk about this right here, on History of Simple Things. To understand twins, it helps to start with the usual process of conception. Normally, one sperm fertilizes one egg, forming a zygote. That single cell then divides repeatedly, eventually developing into an embryo and then a fetus. In most cases, this process leads to one baby developing in the womb. But biology is not always perfectly uniform. Early in development, something unusual can happen that changes the outcome entirely. Instead of forming just one embryo, the process can result in two separate developing lives. Identical twins, or monozygotic twins, come from a single fertilized egg. After fertilization, that egg begins dividing. In rare cases, it splits into two separate groups of cells, each continuing to develop independently. This usually happens very early in pregnancy, and scientists are still studying exactly why it occurs. It is not caused by genetics or inheritance in a predictable way. It is generally considered a spontaneous event. Because both twins come from the same original egg and sperm, they share almost identical DNA. This is why they often look extremely similar and may even have closely matching traits or behaviors. However, they are not completely identical in every way. As they grow, small differences in environment inside the womb and later life experiences can shape them into distinct individuals. Fraternal twins or dizygotic twins develop in a different way. Instead of one egg splitting, the mother releases two eggs during ovulation. Each egg is fertilized by a separate sperm cell, resulting in two embryos developing at the same time. Genetically, fraternal twins are just like regular siblings. They share about half of their DNA, but not more than any other brothers or sisters. This means they can look very similar or very different, depending on which genes they inherit. One twin might have the mother's facial features, while the other might resemble the father more. Their differences can be as wide as any normal siblings born years apart. The reasons behind fraternal twins are more predictable than identical twins. Some women naturally release more than one egg during ovulation, which increases the chance of multiple fertilizations. This trait can sometimes run in families, especially through the maternal line. Age can also play a role, as women in their 30s are slightly more likely to release multiple eggs. Fertility treatments can also increase the chances of multiple pregnancies by stimulating the ovaries. Identical twins, however, are far less predictable. There is no strong evidence that genetics or environment directly causes the egg to split. It is still considered a rare and largely random biological event. Once twins begin developing, their environment depends on how they formed. Fraternal twins usually have separate placentas and amniotic sacs, giving each baby its own space and supply of nutrients. Identical twins can vary more. Some share a placenta, while others have separate ones. In rare cases, they may even share the same amniotic sac. These differences can influence their development and sometimes require closer medical monitoring. Even though they share the same womb, each twin grows independently. Small differences in position, blood flow, and nutrients can affect how each one develops. Twins are a clear example of how human biology combines structure with randomness. Fraternal twins follow patterns influenced by genetics and biology. Identical twins appear to result from rare and unpredictable early cell behavior. This balance is part of what makes human reproduction so complex. Even when the process seems straightforward, small variations can lead to very different outcomes. Across cultures, twins have always attracted attention. In some societies, they are seen as symbols of luck or special significance. In others, they were once viewed with mystery or superstition. Today, twins are simply understood as a natural variation in human birth. Still, their rarity compared to single births makes them stand out and continue to spark curiosity. Twins also play an important role in scientific studies. Identical twins are especially valuable because they share nearly identical genetic material. Researchers study them to understand how much of human behavior, health, and personality is influenced by genetics versus environment. If identical twins raised in different environments still show similar traits, it suggests a strong genetic influence. If they differ greatly, environment likely plays a bigger role. Fraternal twins add another layer of comparison by showing how siblings with shared parents can still develop differently. Not all twin pregnancies follow the expected pattern. In some cases, one twin may stop developing early in pregnancy, a phenomenon known as vanishing twin syndrome. In other rare situations, twins may share more complex physical connections that require specialized medical care. These cases highlight how flexible and sometimes unpredictable early development can be. Twins are a reminder that human life does not always follow a single fixed pattern. Sometimes it begins with one cell that becomes two lives. Sometimes it starts with two separate cells growing side by side. Whether identical or fraternal, twins show us that life can multiply in unexpected ways, shaped by timing, biology, and chance. And even today, they continue to be one of the simplest yet most fascinating examples of how human life begins and develops. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.